Welcome back to Dopa Show. You won't get sick. If I'm Spencer, this is Sasha. Spent most of my 20s in federal prison, but I've been off heroin since April 9, 2010. I've got a lot of stories about the stupid stuff I did to get put in prison. I've also got quite a few stories about the crazy stuff that actually happened when I was in federal prison. And God forbid you end up in prison. You want to make some of the same mistakes I made. Just want to say this before I start this. My other channel is very vulgar. There was somebody on there, I think it was a grandma, who went and checked it out, and she left a comment saying, I will never watch this again. And I feel really bad because I am not, it's different than this, okay? The other one I do cuss a lot. It is really funny, but it's vulgar. Don't play it around kids. And just know that before you go check it out. I'll leave a pinned comment again. I'm starting to post videos every single day. And it is funny stuff, but you got to have, one of those loose senses of humor, not get offended easily. Because I just speak my mind. I don't mean any harm to anybody, hurting anything. But I do cut up there and, this is Jeff Foxworthy, what you're watching right here. On there, it's Richard Pryor, okay? Get dirt nasty, get gutted on that channel. So anyhow, Big Coby, everybody just call him, it's just Coby. It sounds cooler calling him Big Coby. He's a big old dude. Biggest head you ever seen on a person. Biggest head. He talks and kind of acts like Chris Farley, okay? And he's also a big guy. And also, like Chris Farley, Coby's about 6'3", 320 pounds, okay? And he's athletic, though. He can move. Like, how Chris Farley can do them back handsprings and all that stuff? Well, he can't do a back handspring, but he got cardio for days despite being a big guy. He hadn't lifted weights in a year, and he was beating himself up because he could barely get 315, on bench. If you can lift 315, you ain't lifted in a year. He's a strong dude. It's a big dude, though. He should, be able to lift a little bit more. Big bone strokes, big old dude, and he could hit and hurt people with each hand equally. Majority of people, 95, I'd say even 99%. You only got to worry about whatever hand is the rear hand, the back, the power hand. Most people can't punch with that. I've seen Coby tear a few people up, a bodybuilder in particular, because that bodybuilder could not hit people with his left hand. He could only throw the one hand. Coby's tagging him up with both. But anyway, so I drove for the biggest dealer in my city that sold heroin when I was 16. He got me to drive back and forth to pick it up for him a whole lot. And, there's a whole lot of stories with that because there were times that people tried to intercept the delivery and, run me off the road and probably take me out. Probably make sure that that'd be my last day alive because, I can't imagine they'd leave me breathing because if they did, I'd tell him who it was. And if I told him who it was, he'd go get him. So anyway, had some stories from that too. But we had two apartments. One was a trap apartment, didn't have anything in it other than the drugs we were going to do immediately, like within the next hours. And then we had an apartment that was across the street that was the guy's mom's apartment, and I'd be running back and forth all day picking stuff up from that apartment, bringing it back, meeting people. I was the runner, that's what I was. And we partied harder than anybody I've ever heard of or seen to this date. It was the most insane thing ever. And it's not anything to brag about. I just look at the insanity of it, and I'm like, how did we not get in trouble? Because ironically, the biggest dealer in the city that probably has ever been in the city got taken out by a 90-day driving charge. Not the FBI, not the DEA, none of that. A driving charge. Now, at nighttime, there's a little entourage of us. There's usually about 5, 6, 7 of us. We'd travel. Now, so when it was time to close up shop for the night, we'd drive to a place called Newcastle. Ironically, that's where I live now. It's where this 101-year-old house is. I passed by where this other house was that we stayed every day to get to this house that I live in now. Now, that other house was owned by Coby's very best friend, who might as well be his brother, Mike. Mike got the house. I think it was his grandma left it to him, and he rented it to the biggest dealer that's in the city that I drove for in exchange for a monthly amount of dope, which was a good bit. It was a good bit. And, Coby we were talking about it ways back, and he talked about it, because I was like, yeah, why'd y'all cut out that one time? Because they've been staying there with us, even though he was paying him to live in the house, they were still staying there with us, and it was, ongoing party. He said, man, we had to get out of there for a minute. He said, take a break. He said, that was just the craziest thing, and it was. It was the most insane, never-ending party. Then I don't know how nobody died during that time. I'm still amazed. But anyway, during those circles and everything else, I went to jail my very first time when I was 18. I ended up doing drug court after I spent a month in jail. They told me you could stay another month in jail, probably get time served and probation, or no, yeah, time served and probation, or you can get out tomorrow if you agree to do drug court. I was like, where do I sign? It's my first time in jail. I'm 18. I want to get out. That's the stupidest thing I ever did. I ended up spending more months in jail combined than if I had just stayed in there. And I eventually quit drug court and took the extra time that I would have gotten in the first place then instead of completing it. But anyway, when I first got there, 18 in this jail pod, youngest by far, you talk to certain people. You get to know who's in the pod. Now, there were a couple people up in the corner cell. Now, the corner cell, Roanoke County, it was inhumane back then. It was a 50-man pod, but they had like 70 people in it. No joke. Literally 20 people had their mats along the walls. Just laying on the floor, on the top tier and everything. Well, these people who was in the corner room, they had the biggest cell. It's like a handicap cell. And they found out, who I was, and, they ran in the same circles and stuff. So they told me, come on up there. And it was because I was the driver for that deal. They knew that. So, there's a lot of networking in jails for stuff. But one guy's name was Wes. Now, Wes was closer to he's probably 8, 9 years older than me. He's probably late 20. He just acted like he was young as could be, just immature. And the other guy, Irish, his name was Tim. Some people call him Lucky, some people call him Irish, but his name was Tim. I'll go with Irish. He was about 190 pounds, fit, 5'10", tell he lifted a good bit. And, I mentioned Coby, and, don't know how me and him didn't come across during the times or whatever that I was dealing all that moving around. We probably did and didn't even know it, or I just didn't remember. I'd remember. But anyway, there was kind of a face he made, and I could tell something had happened. So we get to talking about it, and, apparently I learned from Coby later, because I talked to him about it, and I figure out what really happened. But what really happened, I'll just go ahead and cut that part that I learned from Coby, was I guess they were both talking to this girl, and it sounded like Irish was saying stuff about Coby that was bad, untrue, talking about how everything bad about him because he was trying to get the girl. Okay, now Coby is funny as could be. This came out of his mouth and everything else. He was telling me, because I was like, I just broke up my ex to Hussy, and I was talking to him on the phone, and he gave me some more information about that. Just had me all twisted. And whenever you with somebody and you break up, you feel like you'll never find anybody ever again. He's like, dude, you're going to have so much fun when you get out. You don't want to be with somebody when you first get out. He says, you'll have it so much easier than I am. He says, you're funny and everything else. He says, look at me. He says, I'm 300 pounds and I'm ugly as sin. I have to rely on my sense of humor to get girls. And you see me, I stay with a good, and he did stay with a good looking girl. But it was funny because he said, I'm ugly as sin. I have to rely. Now, but he did. He pulled girls, you know what I mean? But it sounded like Coby really liked this girl. Now, and that Irish had, that Coby really liked her, and that Irish had sabotaged it. He was pissed about that, so he went looking for him. He went driving around looking for him, and he found him at this one of their friend's house. Now, Irish, I don't know what he thought, but Coby gets out, starts approaching angrily. He didn't even get up off the porch. Now, the porch, it doesn't have rails on the side. It's just like a few steps. Not porch, but, just a couple steps up to the house. And Coby started beating him, and he's still sitting down. He falls off the stairs into the bushes, and Coby keeps beating him. And Coby told me ultimately that he quit beating him up as bad as he had originally intended to because he's screaming like a stuck animal. And Coby said it freaked him out. And I can imagine he got back in the car and he took off. But yeah, I don't reckon they saw each other after that moment. But what was really funny about it was during that month that I was in jail, after I talked to him about Coby, and he said something about, yeah, we got in a fight. It was over some stupid stuff, but we were really good friends. We'll probably still be friends. But, it was just, there was a whole issue. And he said they got in a fight. More like he got his butt whooped. I don't think there was much fighting to it. I think he was sitting on a porch and Coby ran up and beat the hell out of him, as he should have. Somebody's going to talk behind your back like a little gossiping girl. What do you expect to happen? So, but after I mentioned it, I think I did something to like mess his head up or like break his brain because, I was talking about, different times I've seen Coby get in a fight and everything else. Well, Tim started like eating like Irish, started eating like crazy, like extra ramens and stuff like that, and putting on all this extra weight. I swear he must have weighed probably about 210, 220 when, after the 30 days that I'd been there, went from like 190 to like 220, and it wasn't like he put on muscle, you know what I mean? In a month, definitely not. And he kept eating more and more and working out, like doing more push-ups and stuff and trying to do pull-ups and stuff. But he getting fatter, so he wasn't able to do as many push-ups and pull-ups. But then he started talking one day, because I kept thinking, what in the hell is he doing? The dude's fit and everything else, and he's like getting fat as a bullfrog, but he's still working out. But he's eating like a slob. What's going on in his head? So ultimately, one day, it just came out. I didn't ask him or nothing. It must have just been something that was in his head. And he says, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You have so much muscle, but sometimes that extra weight you got behind it, that's a big thing, blah, blah, blah. And he was thinking, I guess he was thinking that if he had extra weight that he could have done something with Coby. He couldn't. It wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have happened. If he trained for probably 2 years straight every day, I don't think he could have done anything with Coby either. It's just one of those people, a lot of people like street fighters and stuff are just delusional idiots, okay? Coby will never tell you he's a street fighter. He will never brag about how many fights he's been in. He will never say a word about it. And if you saw him, there's an ironic thing about it where people assume he's soft because he talks like Chris Farley, and when he laughs, he goes, kind of like like he laughs like kind of like a cackle. Like, it's funny as can be. My mom tell you about it too. I've been looking for him online. I don't know if he's in jail or what's up. I don't think he lives too terribly far from where I live. I've really been trying to find him. I just stayed so isolated for 5 years, just training and coming home, and was a recluse. But now that I'm actually talking and not being antisocial anymore, I'm a hermit. Been trying to find him. That was one of my best friends. He got me through a hard time with that hussy ex. Talking to him on the phone. Just he made me feel like it's gonna be all right when you get out. And he told me him and his girl who's been with for forever. He said, "Shoot, we'll go out. We'll help you get some blah 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 and this and that." Because I'm a shy person. I'm not going to act like, what I mean? I went there and I just had this feeling like I'm never going to find anybody ever again. And it's pitiful. And then I've taught myself out of getting way more than I ever got because they showed us this STD book and this guy looked like he had cauliflower stuffed up all up in his parts. And I thought, oh, no. So then by statistics, I'm autistic, so I'm odd. I go by statistics, and I know if this girl's been with like 20 people, and statistics say that 1 in 5 have the herp, then she's probably got it. Even though it probably does, I don't know. But I taught myself out of way more than I ever got. So that was a hard time because I felt like I'll never find anyone ever again. And I found out my ex, the hussy, was a hoe, a thief. Crackhead. But anyway, they carried me through it. But anyway, Tim, I never saw him. I even tried looking him up the other day. See what's up with him. It's hard to tell. He was from, I believe he's from Ohio, came down here. A lot of people get out of jail, they do the same old thing over and over, so it's hard to tell. And a lot of people got a problem. It doesn't make them bad people. Now the other guy, Wes, I'm sure he's doing the same old thing. I don't have a doubt about it. I don't know it for sure. But man, he was a nut, okay? Like, you hear stories about these crazy gutter addicts that just do crazy, foolish stuff. That was Wes. Yeah, Lord have mercy. But anyway, a little bit of rambling on that, but I need to go more into that whole time period because it was such an insane, absurd time that when I was driving for the guy of my city, it was so much money. And out of Coby, this was Coby's quote, the guy who I'm speaking of made enough money to retire 10 times. And to my knowledge, today he's still just a 2-bit middleman dealer because I'll go ahead and tell you what happened. I spoke on it before, but in Newcastle, the house in the country that we drive to at night, he had a driving sentence of 90 days. Not Coby, the guy who I drove for. And he put everything in his safe, which was like it was a pretty big safe. It was about 3.5 foot tall, and it was bolted down in the floor of the second floor of this house. On the second floor, it's bolted down in the closet. Well, he gets out of jail, and he goes in the house, and as he walks up the stairs, he sees stuff's wrecked. It looks like something bounced off something. And the best thing that what he thinks happened, and I agree. I mean, it has to have been what happened. Was somebody got like a chain and went up in the second floor of that house and tied it around this safe, and drug the chain through the house and tied it to a truck and ripped it out of the floor, and it bounced off the walls as it got out to the street. They must have loaded it up in the truck and took it somewhere to break into it. There's a lot of money in that safe. The jewelry that was in that safe was worth probably more than this house is. Okay? The jewelry in that safe alone, I would say. The cash, oh my Lord. This guy, he was just in a cycle of doing stuff. It was insane. It all ends bad. He's lucky he didn't get decades in prison. But then again, if he got 10 in prison, maybe he'd have straightened up. But as far as I know, he just been in and out of jail, over and over again since that happened. All the major people got busted, got decades. He just ended up a two-bit dealer again, And you would never in a million years believe this guy was the man back then. Oh, Lord, we stayed in the governor suite at this hotel. It's a real fancy hotel here. It's basically the entire top floor. It cost $800 a night. We stayed there a month. Going in and out of this hotel, we're obviously intoxicated or messed up. And all these uppity people, I don't know how we didn't get the cops called on us or something back then, or, something bad happened back then. We didn't at least get kicked out. But anyway, yeah, every single night, buy a lot of drugs to consume in addition to the drugs that he sold, which was heroin. And it's a crazy time. And saw some really awful stuff during that time. I remember one time at the trap apartment, there was this girl came over, a beautiful girl. And, this type of stuff made me paranoid, never get around to, was I learned after, as soon as she went out of the house, she trying to, it's horrible to watch. You got the kids, his two kids on the one side who were babies, and they mostly stayed with his mom, but, you got them on one side, then there's this divider in the kitchen in the apartment, and she was on her hands and knees trying to hit, crying, and there's blood all over the floor. They put a couple chairs in the way, so then blocking it off. But she had blood all over the floor, crying, and she ends up injecting it, and she still misses it. She still misses her vein. It was awful, and she's like, "Well, it'll probably get my system," and she's crying, trying to hit this vein. She goes out, and we learn. And as soon as she walks out, I hear him say that, "Yeah, she's got HIV. We gotta be careful cleaning this up." And I'm like, "Oh, because I'm scared of that type of thing. Diseases. I'm a hypochondriac." Lord have mercy. I had AIDS for 10 minutes back when I was 18. I went to rehab, and they gave me a wrong test results. And I flew off, and they kept calling me Steven. And I said, "You're going to tell somebody got a death sentence, you get their name right." And that's when I realized, and that's when I saw a look on their face. They gave me the wrong person's test results. Yeah, so for 10 minutes I thought I had it. Messed me up, something awful. So anyway, if you like the video, press the like button. If not, that's 18 minutes and 50 seconds of your life in which you'll never get back. Tonight on my second channel, I'm going to tell some unedited stuff that's one of the funniest stories ever of the guy who I'm speaking of, the kingpin, and the mother of his children. There was a hilarious but awful incident that happened that I will tell on the other channel that I promise. If you got a sense of humor, you don't mind some cuss words. Sometimes cuss words make stuff funnier. The F word. I don't think the F word's a cuss word. I don't think there's anything wrong with the F word. It just got created within the past 100 years. It came from the German word flicken, which means to strike. Okay. And, it'd be like if I said Ooga Booga today, and in 50, 100 years, people are like, that's the King Daddy bad word. You know what I mean? I don't think God's got a problem with Ooga Booga, okay? Just like I don't think, it's an issue like you're going to hell if you say the F word because it came from the word flicking, which means to strike. It's society that makes things to, change like that. But anyhow, that's random. I don't even know why I went into that. But on the other channel, I'm going to tell that story, and it's going to be funny, but just prepare yourself if you haven't been to it. Don't play it around kids, first off. Second off, if you don't like, hearing cuss words, you don't like getting gutter, then I mean it's not a place you'll probably like. And I say that because, I feel really bad that this person, it's probably a grandma, went on this channel and she heard me speak like that, because I try to keep professional, positive, and a certain way on here, so mainly so it can be taken seriously and also learn a lesson. And it's a really good little place that I think that people bring you up. If you're in the comment section, you got a problem, I got the best audience at anybody in this whole genre. They will bring people back up, and I myself, I've been tied up the past couple weeks, been doing those lives, staying up late doing them, and when I've been staying up late doing those lives, it's messed my sleep, messed my time, everything else. I've been a little bit out of the comment section. I just went back and I answered every comment in the most recent video, and I plan on going back to more videos and answering all the comments there too. So, I'm usually really good about that, but just certain habits, staying up doing these lives. That's Rick from Vegas Prison Stories. That's his fault. Big Weavy, doing time with Big Weavy, which is now Weavy's World. Kind of like Wayne's World, but Weavy's World. They got me on these lives. I never thought I'd do it, but they got me on there talking, staying up late. Lord have mercy. But I made some good friends. Rick, he's become a really good friend. And Weavy, he's become a really good friend too. I mean, they're like family. I mean, seriously, they've become a couple of my best friends. And I never would have imagined that, making friends on YouTube that are like family. I think more highly of them than I do a lot of the actual family that's blood. I'm not going to see a good many of my family tomorrow. Christmas I'll do that, but a lot of them I don't like, and I'm not going to put myself through it. Drive all the way to see a bunch of people I don't like. So I'm just not doing nothing. Yeah, I'm just not doing nothing. Okay, you get Christmas, you got me. Okay, everybody, that's an important one. But start doing Thanksgiving. What are we going to do next? Veterans Day, Memorial Day, cookouts. Respect to the veterans, love the veterans. Think very highly of them. But I'm not doing all these events. I'm still not that social. And to see a bunch of people, see a bunch of people I don't like too, for the most part. There are a good many that I love and I think are some of the best people on the planet, but some I do not like. I'm not going to drive a 7-hour, 8-hour, probably 8-hour round trip to spend an hour at a place to see people that, smile in your face and talk as soon as you walk out of the room. They can kiss my ass. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. I usually don't on this channel. The other channel have some funny stuff tonight.